All right, everybody, welcome back to the Forward Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Armstrong, not to be confused with my guest this week, Heather Armstrong, completely unrelated. We met the old-fashioned way over social media. She used to tell people, they used to ask her, are you related to Lance Armstrong? And she would jokingly say, yes, I'm his mother. That sort of sounds like a silly way to meet, but that is, in fact, how we met. She's got a crazy story. She's also got a new book out. It's called The Valedictorian of Being Dead, The True Story of Dying 10 Times to Live. And it's exactly what happened. She had over time had worked herself up to being a highly successful mommy blogger, had this huge following, had millions of followers on social media, myself included. Had all these paid placements and paid influence on her blog, and it literally drove her crazy, and her kids hated it, and so she ended up in a really dark place. At one point in her life, according to her Fitbit, she was walking 30,000 steps a day in her living room, never leaving the house, never changing clothes. 30,000 steps a day in your living room. I took the kids to Disney World a few weeks back, and my buddy had his watch on, and we were doing like 20,000 steps. So a whole third more in your living. I can't even imagine that. But she wanted to kill herself, and she was miserable. And a researcher in Utah approached her about a treatment protocol that no human has ever done before. And so you'll hear all about that in this episode. Truly fascinating story, and super psyched for her that she's got her health back, both physically and mentally and emotionally. And apparently this book, you guys and gals know I don't read books, but I'm going to read this one. It comes with rave reviews from a lot of smart people. So check it out. Heather Armstrong. Thanks for tuning in. Here's Heather. I think I'll just start with your updated bio.
My updated bio.
Yes.
It's been updated many times.
Okay, well, this one is super interesting, so I just want people to hear this. Hi, I'm Heather B. Armstrong. When I first wrote a bio for this site, I called myself SAHM, a stay-at-home mom, or shit-ass hoe motherfucker. More than a decade later, I'm now what's referred to as a FTSWM, a full-time single working mom, or fuck that shit, where's marijuana? This used to be called mommy blogging, but then they started calling it influencer marketing, hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored, hashtag you want me to slap your product on my kid and exploit her for millions and millions of dollars. That's how this shit works. Now, well, sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. Deuce is back. And she's talking about herself in the third person, so you better have a barf bag at the ready. Is that the latest bio?
That would be the latest bio on my website, yes.
Because
I forgot that I wrote that, yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, come on, that's me. Essentially, and right down to it, that's me right there. That's it, right there. Distilled into like 2 sentences, that's me.
Well, there was more than 2 sentences, but
yeah.
And this all really started with Deuce, Deuce.com in 2001.
Yes.
Deuce. First of all, what is Deuce? I know. We joke about Deuce.
So I know. Oh God.
But we spell it differently.
I know. Everybody has a joke about Deuce. It was a typo of dude. I worked in. I was in startups in Los Angeles in the early 2000s, and I misspelled dude all the time because everybody calls each other dude. You call your boss dude. You call your husband dude. You call your wife dude. So
people in Utah don't know how to spell dude?
Well, it would like autocorrect or it would do something, and I would always say Deuce. And so my coworkers caught on to it, and they started calling me Deuce. And so it became a nickname. And so when I went to go get a URL, it was 5 letters.
Right.
And who has a 5-letter URL anymore, right? So in 2000, I was like, I'll just go to get that one. So it made no sense. It makes no sense to anybody.
Right. Okay. Right. No, it doesn't make any sense, but now it does, actually. Now it makes perfect sense. Yeah. And you were able to get it. You didn't have to buy it. You didn't have to. No,
I just registered all of them. So, yeah.
And that started as were you a mom in 2000, 2001?
No, I was a single former Mormon sowing her very, very wild oats in Los Angeles. And I thought that I would write stories about what it was like to live as a former Mormon sowing her wild oats. I didn't think more than 12 people would read it. And so I wrote very, very, very outrageous things in the early days.
Nice.
Not that I don't.
We should go back and read some of those.
I took a lot of it down. My dad found it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
My dad found it.
And then, but then at some point it evolved into as you said in this bio, a mommy blog or
It did. It evolved.
And that's where the following really.
Yes. So in 2003, I got pregnant, and I thought, okay, well, I'm never going to be able to blog while I have a kid who has time to do anything when they have a kid.
Yeah.
Why am I going to blog? There's no time. And then when I got pregnant, like my traffic jumped because all of a sudden this really irreverent kind of crazy person was going to have a kid. And then when I had my baby, like my traffic tripled in a day.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, she has a kid. And is she going to talk about having a kid like she normally talks about life? And that's exactly what I did.
Right.
Because I hated what was going on. I mean, I had really bad postpartum depression. I had no idea what I was doing. And
As a mother,
yeah. I mean, I loved my kid.
What do you mean you didn't know you
I had
had
no
to change
idea.
a diaper?
I knew how to change a diaper, but I didn't know, like, she was colicky and so didn't sleep for more than 30 minutes at a time.
God,
And like
I'd go
she
crazy.
didn't eat. And it was just like, I was so confused. And I talked about that quite a bit. And people were eager to hear this from somebody online who wasn't filtered through like a magazine.
Right.
Or filtered through a publisher. Like here I was, this woman publishing herself saying, this shit sucks. This shit is fucking like terrible. Like I can't believe I got myself into this. I love her. I would never give her back, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And people were so eager to hear that from someone that my traffic just like completely went crazy. And that's when it took off. Like it literally just went off the roof.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, we'll give them some more of this. We'll give them another kid.
Eventually I would give them another kid. Yes. Not on purpose.
But you were married at the time.
I was married at the time,
and
yes.
was he helpful with the kid thing? Or, I mean, because it's normally a team deal.
Yes. I'm going to give him credit.
You're
Absolutely.
hedging a little.
I mean, you know, he never really wanted kids that much.
Gotcha.
I was the one who was like, I want kids. And he's like, okay, I'll come along for the ride. He didn't know what he was doing either. I mean, neither of us did. And we had a colicky kid. Anybody who's a colicky kid understands it is fucked up 12 hours, you know, all day long, 12 hours straight. And then if you are lucky, they sleep for like 25 minutes at a time. And it was like that for over...
I mean, because I'm crazy about sleep. So if I don't sleep, I'm the worst human being alive.
Yeah.
And so that would just... that might put me in a place where you went to.
Yeah, I had severe postpartum depression. And I told him one day, I said, there comes my accent because I'm in Austin. I told him one day, I said, if you leave for work, I will not be here when you get home. I said those words to him.
Seriously?
I did. Yeah. And so together we went to the hospital and we checked myself into the hospital in Utah.
But back up. So you said if you go to work, I won't be here when you get back, meaning you were going to leave.
No, I was going to kill myself.
Gotcha. That's what, okay.
Yeah.
So I was trying to,
Yeah.
wow.
I had reached that point where the sleeplessness and the hopelessness and the feeling like I'm never going to know what I'm doing was so overwhelming that I thought, okay, I have to seek professional help or I'm not ever going to get better.
And this is in
2004.
Have the baby so the baby's 1.
She's
not quite
6.5 months old.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Isn't your mom there? Or like
My mother
immediate
at the
family?
time, my mother was working for Avon. She was managing the entire Western United States. So she was gone from like Sunday night to like Saturday morning.
Gotcha.
So I had really no backup system and I had no friends who had kids, which was, you know, having friends who have kids is like kind of crucial.
Right.
And I had no mommy group. I had no mommy group.
So he stays home. You go to the that's just so intense. I can't even.
Yeah.
Wow. What'd you do with the baby?
So he had to take family leave. So this is the fucked up thing. Sorry, I'm going to use the words. I'm going to use all of the words.
We use that word a lot on this podcast, and we broke the record recently with Sammy Hagar.
Right.
I mean, we say maybe 10 or 20.
He hasn't seen a mommy blogger.
he dropped about 400.
Okay.
So you're safe.
So he had to take family leave, medical leave, which means that you have to leave your work and then they don't pay you while you're gone.
Yeah.
It's the Family Medical Leave Act. So you can leave work for a family emergency, but they don't have to pay you while you're gone. They can't fire you necessarily, but they don't have to pay you any money. And so he had to take like 6 days of leave with no pay to watch my kid while I got help. And I got help. I got better. You know, I met a doctor at the university who ended up saving my life twice.
Right. The guy who administered this clinical trial, which I want to save that because that to me is just so fucking next level. I mean, we've been friends this is the first time we've met in person. We've been friends on Twitter, which sounds stupid. It is, because it is stupid for a long time. And I don't know, I never look at Twitter anymore. And the other day, I was like, I don't know if I was looking for some story, but I see in your feed, or in my feed rather, this story from the Salt Lake Tribune.
Right.
And I'm like, and I told you a second ago, like I'm not a great reader. So I sent myself the link. So I know if it sits in my inbox, at some point I'll read it. And I read it and I was like, holy shit. Like I've never heard of anything like this. I mean, and not to treat depression lightly, but I'm always one of these people. It's like, let's go, like whatever.
Get on your bike.
Yeah, or whatever. Let's go. It doesn't. So, but I know it's a very real issue. I've had a hard time relating to that. But that story actually, and I would encourage the listener or viewer to go find the story, or we can put it up for you guys. But what an intense story. I was like, damn, homegirl's been through some tough times.
No, so
We're not related, by the way. The listener should also know.
So I have to say.
We don't think.
I have to say this. I used to make the joke. People would follow me on Twitter because they would get to the end of the sign-up process on Twitter. And Twitter would say, what are you interested in? Are you interested in parenthood? Are you interested in sports? And if they said parenthood, it would put my name up as a recommendation. So they would go, oh, I'll follow this person who's blogging or tweeting about parenthood. And so I would tweet things and people go, who are you? And I was like, I'm Lance Armstrong's mom.
But I'm younger than him, which is really fucked up. All of the miracles of the world. I would
always just like dryly answer, I'm Lance Armstrong's mom. And then one day I got like a direct message from you. I'm like, oh my gosh, did he see
because maybe you said that? Maybe
did I say that?
I wondered how it all came to be.
Did he see that I'm making that joke? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I didn't mean to capitalize on the name.
Well, I'm glad you did that. I'm glad you did that, and I'm glad I did that.
Yeah, it was a really intense situation that happened with me.
But hang on, I don't want to get to that yet, because this is really this is the reason behind this book, which is the reason you're here in Austin. To read, you have to read all these people tonight, which I'd be scared shitless. But the Valedictorian of Being Dead: The True Story of Dying 10 Times to Live. So, and the key is the 10-time thing, and I just can't get my mind around it, but. I want to go back to just Deuce and this idea of influencers, because to me, the word influencer is now a dirty word. Like I think it's a bad word. And to me, I mean, I hate using the word. I hate hearing the word. But to me, did you see the Fire Festival documentary?
I did see it.
So
yes.
To me, this is sort of the tipping point of where we all go, wait a minute. What are we doing here? Like that was just the height of like influencer douchebaggery.
Right.
Like where it just doesn't make sense. And you alluded to it in one of the articles I read where you were someplace and there was a family that thought they were an influential family and they had a whole film crew with them and photographers photographing their kids and them, and they looked pretty and they looked perfect. And, it's like, I mean, that's not life. That's not fucking real.
No, I call it the fraud of authenticity.
Yeah.
There's no authenticity anymore. No one shows the dirty side of the room. All they show is the really neat shelves, right? They show the side of the room that they cleaned up before they took a picture. Yeah. No one shows like the really dirty stuff, the really gritty, like no one talks about the hardship anymore. And even when they do, they post this like really angelic picture of the family together. And it's like, no, stop. The duality there and the irony there is too much to ignore. Like, why are you still posting a beautiful picture when you're trying to talk about a difficult subject for many who are struggling? Because those people who are struggling are looking they're looking for people to connect with. And I'm afraid that we are losing that connection as brands and sponsors and influencers gain more control over these mediums.
Right.
And that saddens me and it scares me.
But I think there has to be a correction. I mean, at some point, people have to realize that this is a game.
Right.
And they're just going to choose to not be gamed anymore.
Right.
You would hope.
You would hope. I mean, like my daughter who's 15 has no interest in influencers. Like she's on Snapchat with her friends. She doesn't care about the guys on Instagram or any of those people. And most of her friends don't know any of the influencers.
And so how's she now? Just now you bring her up. I mean, that's. I mean, she was the colicky one, the 15-year-old.
Yes.
And now she's a
badass. Brilliant badass.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well,
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
She turned out pretty well.
I like the way this story is coming together.
She's like a straight A student. She's a masterful piano player. Like she's, full on headed straight for like a full scholarship somewhere. Wow. But she's still into social media. Like she's 15.
Right.
But I ask her like, what YouTube star are you into? We don't do that. She's like, we don't do that anymore, Mom. We don't do that anymore. So I think a shift is happening, and I'm very curious to see what happens with that.
I have twin 17-year-old girls, and they were one of them especially was she was all in with speaking of YouTube stars, the girl that the parents got into USC and like the whole like she followed her shit like religiously, and so I was like, who's that? What? And then I'm just like, oh, and then you see how it just, I mean, far be it for me to sit on my horse and say anything, but how it can really turn and bite you. And so, I mean, the one YouTube of her talking about, I don't really care about going to college. I'm just here to party and promote my YouTube channel. I'm like, whoa. And then you see, of course, it all comes out. Yeah. It's nasty.
It's nasty. Yeah. It's nasty. And it's not, I fear, especially for the isolation of our children. Our children aren't getting touch. Touch is such an important part of human interaction, and touch and talking. I remember talking to my friends when growing up for hours at a time on the phone. Right. They don't talk to each other. I mean, they do through the medium, but they don't like listen to their voices, and they don't like, they're not sitting next to each other.
I don't have my phone doesn't have a voicemail.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to leave me a voicemail? Like, I'm going to take the time to listen to your voicemail? How about you just text it?
If you leave me a voicemail, you're the biggest asshole in the world, honestly. Like, that's what I label you. Don't leave me a voicemail.
When we were prepping for this Sammy Hagar thing, he kept calling me. And he was like, hey, and he texted me, he's like, hey, I'm trying to call you because I'm old and this, I'm not like all these millennials. I actually get on the phone and talk to people. And I'm like, I was on the golf course, I was like calling him back. I'm like, Jesus, like he had to have a conversation.
Yeah, I cannot handle that at all. No.
And so, but you had to take a break from Deuce at some point. There was some break in there. And I kind of checked out of the whole, just because I think more I just checked out of Twitter. But you took a hiatus or a vacation.
I had a really, really solid contract with an ad network. And when it was over, I said,
and then you were cranking. You were some of these reports. You're making $50,000 a month.
Some of these reports, that was never a confirmed number. Somebody came up with it back of the envelope guesstimate.
Great, but that's still
sure. I made a great living.
If it's half of that, it's a lot of money.
I made a great living.
Yes.
And I realized that doing what they wanted me to do, which was manufacture experiences with my kids and put them in certain clothes and go do a certain activity and listen to certain things in the car. And my kids don't want to listen to shit in the car. Like, they argue in the car. We scream at each other in the car. We're not going to get dressed up. Like, none of us is going to shower. We're all going to roll out of bed and like go to the grocery. Like, none of us is going to like do this manufactured experience.
Your kids needed an agent. This is when they needed Uncle Lance. I ain't putting that shit on until I get a cut of this business.
Well, they do have a cut. They have a great college fund. That is for sure.
Okay.
But
they don't appreciate that when they're 7.
No, but I took him out. I took him out of it because I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Now that I'm out of the contract, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not putting my kids in this situation because I didn't sign up to do this. I signed up to write about really irreverent takes on everyday things. And I can't do that if I'm writing about a car brand.
Yep.
Or a cereal brand.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't be who I am. I can't say shit ass hoe motherfucker. And I actually had a brand who came to me and said, can you remove that from your homepage?
Right. I'm sure you did.
And I said, no, I won't. I'm not going to take your money.
Right.
I wouldn't do it at that point.
Yep.
And so when I relaunched my website, I was like, this is on my terms. I'm doing this my way. And so if you will work with me, this is how we're working. My kids aren't a part of it. And if they are a part of it, it's because they want to be.
Right.
And so it's a very different thing for me now.
Yeah. And I think that, and look, we're in very different situations. You've been through very different circumstances and deals and things than me. But it's the same thing. Like I was paid for a long, long time just to be the man, like just to work for the man, I should say. And whether that's, well, I won't name the brands, but huge brands. I mean, you just had to say what the company line was.
What brands are you talking
whatever.
about?
And so, and then overnight, which when it happened, I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like I just lost money and blah, blah, blah. But once you get to the other side of it and you realize like, I have the ultimate freedom, the ultimate liberty.
Right.
Is I can control my message. I can control who I associate with. I mean, these podcasts that we do and content like this we do, I mean, we're very disciplined about who we take on. It's like, and I won't name those names either, but you can't go do the traditional podcast advertising where I'm sitting here literally reading about underwear or some bullshit that I don't believe in.
Right.
Like now I get to choose who we associate with. And so it's just, for us, it's been really, and I say us, I mean our entire team here, but like really empowering to just to do it our way. And most people have listened to this thing and been like, man, Sammy Hagar said 400 F-bombs yesterday. Like that was, I don't know. So they know what they're getting into.
This is also what I also think is that celebrities are catching on to this culture, this influencer culture, and they're seeing the freedom of it, where they can create their own platform and they can go, I don't have an agent or anybody else telling me what I can post and not post and do because this is my brand and this is what I'm doing.
Or create their own products.
And create their own products.
Right. That's the ninja move is to use your audience and your influence and don't go work for somebody else. Maybe it's a sub-blog, but you literally have skin in the game. Yeah. Like that's the way it should work.
Exactly. Well, that's what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And hindsight for me is 2020. So but I completely agree. So, but this period of sort of the postpartum depression, the rise of Deuce and you going, oh my God, these people are trying to grade my homework. This is bullshit.
Right.
I'm not down with this. Somehow got you to this place. And somewhere along the way, there was a marathon, which I'm still trying to figure out how that all fit in there. But somewhere along the way, it just got dark.
So you've run a marathon.
I've run a bunch of marathons.
Yeah, the first one you ran, was it the New York City? Yep. Yeah, and it was hard.
Well, they're all hard. It's a marathon.
I remember a quote from you, though. I remember there was a quote saying, how many bike races have I done? This was the hardest thing I've ever fucking done.
I know. But I say that after everything I do. It's like Willie Nelson. Every gig, Willie Nelson, that's the best gig we've ever played. And they say, well, you said that yesterday. It's like, well, I'm losing my memory. But that so far is the best we've ever done. So I say that bullshit every time. Yeah.
So I got invited to guide a runner who's visually impaired in the Boston Marathon.
Yep.
And I'm not a runner.
Bad start.
So, I can run. I was very in shape. And they asked me because they wanted to bring attention to the organization. And I thought, when am I ever going to run the Boston Marathon?
Yep.
I'm never going to qualify for
marathon.
that. Right? I should do this. I should absolutely do it. And I had already met Scott Jurek. Do you know who Scott Jurek is?
Yep.
famous ultramarathoner who wrote a book about going vegan and how it made his athleticism that much bigger. And so
Don't be talking about the vegans on here. We get more hate mail when you talk about the vegans.
Well, I'm no longer vegan. I was.
We do. No, it's kind of a joke, but kind of not.
I was vegan. So I see both sides. Absolutely. I was vegan for a very long time. I'm no longer vegan because I can't be. Sorry. Scott gave me a lot of advice about training for this marathon, with a vegan diet.
He would know. Yeah, he would know. That's his thing.
And so I started training for the Boston Marathon, and I was raising 2 kids by myself. My ex-husband had then moved to New York, so I was raising them by myself. And so raising 2 kids by myself.
Still not knowing what you're doing, or now you feel like you have.
So I'm trying to build a second career out of speaking, which is very hard to do if you don't have a books to sell.
Yep.
I didn't at the time, and I wasn't, a former president. I wasn't Tony Robbins. So booking speaking gigs was extremely difficult, and you get small paying ones. But so I'm training for a marathon, raising 2 kids, eating a vegan diet, traveling. And I got in a hole so deep that I couldn't get out. I couldn't get out of the hole. And I thought, okay, well, when the marathon is over, I'm going to be fine. And
was this a physical hole? I mean, I know it's more also a mental, emotional hole.
It was both. It was all.
But the way you say it,
it was a physical.
Sounds physical too.
Physical, I'm fitting in 20-mile runs on a treadmill. I'm cramming it into.
Okay, that right there put me in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's.
I know more about Steph Curry because I was watching television on a treadmill in a Jewish community center than I will ever know about Steph Curry in my lifetime. Right.
But burning the candle at both ends, travel and stress.
And when it was over and I didn't feel better, I thought, okay, well, then I don't have a reason. Then
right, when's the marathon?
Reason? The marathon was April 18th of 2016. And when we just had the anniversary. What are we now? That was just over 3 years ago. Ironically, my book manuscript was due on April 18th of 2018. And 2 years. And I got deeper and deeper and deeper into the hole and couldn't get out. And just decided that I was just going to feel bad for the rest of my life. And I was scared to death to seek help because I was afraid that I was going to lose my kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was scared I was going to lose my kids.
And your mom's still traveling?
My mom, well, no, my mom was actually helping.
Right.
But she didn't really know the extent of it. She didn't know how much she was supposed to help me. No, my mom didn't know that she needed to come and really physically help me because even physical tasks, and I talk about this in the book, unloading the dishwasher.
You're talking about wearing dirty clothes.
Yeah, well, you don't want to change. You don't want to change clothes because changing clothes requires this effort. When you're depressed, when you're that depressed, changing clothes is it's the last thing you want to do. It's the last thing you want to do is just I just don't want to go through the process of why would I change clothes? I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody.
And are your daughters noticing this?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would think. Yeah, they're older at that time. They're 12.
They were 12 and 7.
Yeah.
And it was just this every day I would wake up in a vat of anxiety.
100% of the days?
Yes, every single day.
There wasn't just an amazing Saturday where
no.
Every day.
Every day. Every single day I would wake up as if my body were on fire. And I would wake up and I would shriek almost because it was fire had been set to my body because I realized, I'm awake again.
I've never heard anything like this in my life.
Yeah, it's anxiety set to a million.
Okay. But you have to go to a doctor or a psychologist.
Well, I didn't
some medicine,
because
some therapy.
I was so afraid that if I did, that I would lose custody.
So you didn't. There was no help.
No. Well, I went and saw a talk therapist. And she's talking me through, okay, well, we should do this, or we should do this. And she finally realized, okay, well, if I don't call your mom in, then we're not going to get anything done. So she finally called my mom in, and my mom there's a very, very tender chapter in my book about me and my mom, and me and my mom sort of confronting a long-standing thing between us and us, resolving it. But it was my mother, and I subconsciously think that I didn't want anybody to help me, but I knew that if somebody didn't help me, that this was going to kill me. And it was my mom who stood in my kitchen and handed me the phone and says, "You're calling your fucking psychiatrist right fucking now." And I was like, okay. So I called my psychiatrist, and that's when I made that fateful, date with him, and he told me about the procedure.
Right. So before this 10 step, and we're going to get into it, but there was no, I don't know what you take for depression, but that's just amazing to me that there had to be some other ways you were trying to medicate.
No, I had
this
medication.
thing.
I had medication. It helped me sleep.
Gotcha.
It just didn't help
or
the
alcohol
depression.
or I don't know what, but I mean, a lot of people self-medicate.
Right. And for me, it was walking. I walked 25,000 steps a day. I clocked it on my Fitbit.
I only know that that's impressive. Heather, honestly, brag a little bit. I only know that that's impressive because I just went to Disney World with my family, and you walk your ass off at Disney, and I think we were doing like 16,000 steps.
Yeah,
and that's about it. But I felt like I had walked like 2 marathons.
Yeah. I walked 25,000 steps a day.
Well, that's better than going out and taking oxys.
No, I didn't leave the house. I mean, I took my medication at night and it helped me sleep, but it didn't address the actual depression part of it. And so at that point I was just like, okay, I'm just going to be sad forever. I'm just going to be sad forever. I'm going to walk forever. And I'm going to be sad forever. That's just going to be it. And I say this in the book, some people talk about their parents who have depressive episodes where their parents don't get out of bed. My kids will talk about their mom walking laps around the living room for like hours at a time because I was so anxious and I didn't know what to do.
I hope it was a big living room.
Yeah, it was big at the time and big enough to get 25,000 steps in a day. Yeah.
Wait, 20 whatever thousand steps without leaving the house?
Yeah, without leaving the house.
Okay, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's what crazy people do.
That's what crazy people do, right? It's what's crazy. Like, that's crazy. I will embrace crazy. Mm-hmm.
Damn.
That's how desperate I was. That's how desperate I was when he told me about this.
Did you? Yeah, I read it. Did you wrote this thing yourself? Nobody else? Did you write this in Paris? Because at one point you sent me a message like, what did you ask me? I can't even look it up. You're like, where's cool to hang out in Paris? And the funny thing is like, people just think I've been to Paris like 10,000 times. We're there like a half a day. You're over you spend 3 weeks over the entire country, boom, right into Paris, finish, and you leave.
No, I showed up to Paris for the first time in 2017, and the first 4 people who saw my name were French and asked me if I was related to you.
Yeah, you say yeah.
Yeah. They were like, are you related to Lance? And I'm like, oh my God, am I going to have to deal with this the whole time I'm in France? I'm his mom. And then like, I found myself accidentally at the finish line of the Tour de France. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I think I may have texted you then. And I was like, I am at the finish line of the Tour de France. I wrote the first 3 chapters there.
Yeah.
And then the rest.
Amazing city.
It's an amazing city.
Yeah,
it was
incredible.
It totally inspired this entire thing. I wrote this book cover to cover. This is me.
Yeah.
This is absolutely, no one ghost wrote this book. This is my entire experience.
Well, I've done a couple of books, but I didn't write anything. I just talked to somebody and then they wrote it and
No, I did all of the writing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would be so lost.
And then I did all the editing. There were like 10 rounds of edits.
But this is your second book.
Yeah, I consider it my second book. It's like technically my 4th, but I consider it my second.
Right. And the first one was, what was the first?
It was a compilation.
It Sucked, Then I Cried.
It Sucked, and Then I Cried. That's about my postpartum. And this is about the most recent experience of depression. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into this because this is just the idea that this guy, I forget the doctor's name in Salt Lake City, has a clinical trial for treating depression. And I'm going to mess this up, but it's 10 treatments, propofol anesthesia.
Have you heard of propofol before?
Is that the thing that killed Michael Jackson?
That's the thing that killed Michael Jackson.
Yeah. So that's some serious shit.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it killed him. And so 10 treatments of anywhere from, it's basically as close to death as you can get, I guess, for 15 to 18 minutes. Mm-hmm. You were only the 3rd person in the world to do it.
Yeah.
Which right there, I'm out. There was a 1 in 10,000 chance of dying right there. Again, I'm out. You got to be in a bad place to go, you know what? You'd have done it if you were the first person, probably.
Oh yeah. My doctor is brilliant. He is very charming. He is very convincing. And he was very mad at me that I didn't show up sooner than I had. He was like, how dare you let this episode go on? Because this is what people should know, is that the longer you let a depressive episode go on, the harder it is to get out of it. And he was mad, but he was also really giddy because he's like, oh my God, we have this study going on at the university, and like I'm behind it and my other doctor's behind it, and you're the patient for it, and you're going to prove that it works.
And you're a human.
You're a human.
Not a mouse.
And it's going to prove that it works. And you could die, but you're not going to die, but you could. And so do you want to do it?
You could have other issues. I mean, there was one of the previous sort of extreme treatment, and I'm just
ECT.
getting up to, was in this Carrie Fisher, like she had, like you lose your mind, lose your memory, you lose your...
With electroconvulsive therapy, you can have very severe permanent memory loss, temporary memory loss, migraines, a lot of pain.
Bad.
It can be bad, yeah. And so what they're trying to do is come up with a solution that has no side effects.
Yeah.
And this is their idea. Mm-hmm. And I was one of 10. I was the third. And I went in, and he assured me that I would be okay. And I was like, well, what do I have to lose? Because I have resolved myself to feeling terrible for the rest of my life.
Did you try to kill yourself ever?
No. I never did. No, I never made a plan. I never tried because I knew that I had made a commitment to my kids.
Did you think about it?
Did I think? I thought about being dead. I thought about...
You didn't think about how you would do it?
I didn't think about how I would do it. I thought about how amazing it would be to be dead, how amazing it would be to not have to feel anything anymore. And so at that point, like I've said this before to someone else, like I could have jumped out of a plane and I wouldn't have flinched because I didn't care anymore.
Jesus.
I didn't care anymore.
You know what I mean?
So I was like,
I'd be on, my toes would be curled over the edge. And I'd go, oh my God, I got 5 kids. I can't do this. Get back.
Well, no, I'm going to be fine. Cause I was like, I'm going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. And I trusted my doctor. I really did. Mm-hmm. I really trusted him. And then after that 5th treatment, really like a switch got flipped.
And how far in between the treatments?
A day.
What?
Yeah.
So this is all done in 20 days?
This was all done. This is like done like on a Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday. Yeah.
Go home between the treatments?
Yeah. You have to fast. You can't drink. You can't eat. You can't drink.
And, I think that's the least of the problems. Okay. The 1 in 10,000 and being the third, you know what? If you had to eat dog shit for a year, you took the bigger risk.
Yeah, I took the bigger risk because I honestly really did feel like it was the last ditch effort that I had. Like if I don't do this, then there's nothing that's going to make me feel better.
But you see, I wouldn't be worried because I've had bike wrecks and all these things. I mean, anesthesia, like that doesn't worry. I don't worry about anesthesia.
No.
I mean, they do that every second of every day. So is the fear that you've done it 10 times in 20 days?
No. So the fear is that my brother came to see one of the treatments and the doctor joked with him, how he's like, see, she's here at 40, basically. He showed on the monitor, she's here at 40. This is where we can start to cut into patients for like heart surgery. Like this is where we can cut into patients for
40 what? What's 40?
It's basically on the monitor like between 100 and 0.
0, you're dead.
0 is where
100 you're walking around the room.
100 you're walking around. Okay. So here at 40 is when we can start to open the body and cut it open and like jerk around the intestines.
I always wondered how they knew.
Right?
I just figured they were like, hey, you're asleep, right? Like
this is so amazing about it.
That is amazing.
It's amazing. Okay. And he said, so we're taking your sister all the way down. We're taking your sister all the way to the bottom of this monitor is what we're doing. And so they took me down, and it's called burst suppression, where it's flatlining and then there's a burst, and flatlining and a burst. And that went on for 15 minutes. And then they both decided, the doctor and the anesthesiologist, okay, that's enough time. Let's bring her out. And then my mother, who watched all 10 treatments, had to wait for me to breathe on my own again.
But hang on a second. So for any surgery, heart surgery, leg surgery, any surgery, nobody goes to burst.
Nobody goes to burst
You
depression.
go to 40.
Yeah.
Got you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. They can breathe on their own in, they can breathe on their own with.
Because you had a breathing tube.
I had a breathing tube shoved down my throat. Yeah.
Yeah. 10 times in 20 days.
10 times in 20 days. Yeah.
God.
Yeah. It was, when I look back on it, I'm thinking, oh, wow, that was a thing. That was a thing, wasn't it? Mainly from my mother's perspective. My mom endured way more than I did because I didn't see any of this.
See, I think this is valuable to learn. Because I was just assuming, like, as I just stupidly said, like anesthesia, whatever, we all get that.
No.
But I guess we just don't understand how far they can take it.
Propofol has never been used like this before. Propofol has never been used to take the brain down to this point before. And so that's what was so revolutionary about it. And everybody was like, oh, it was the Michael Jackson drug. And they're like, aren't you scared? And I was like, well, Michael Jackson didn't have an anesthesiologist on hand.
Right.
I have people who are, skilled in this particularly.
So in this article, this is the coolest thing. And we'll try to show it on the show. I don't know how we do this stuff, but so they have this of the first 10 patients, they have what's called the response to the treatment, right? And so you are the dark green.
You can tell exactly which line is my line.
Yeah. So you're the dark green, and Dave somehow will figure this out. But so you're dark green. So you start the worst.
I start the worst
and end up the best.
And the best.
And and look at that sharp drop off.
Boom, boom. Yeah, when they
how many days? How many treatments that's mid-series?
That's 5
treatments?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they didn't tell me which line I was, and the lead anesthesiologist and I have become really good friends, and he showed this to me, and I was like, yeah, I know which one is me. I know exactly which one is me, because it worked like boom.
Okay, and so but look at this poor person. Like
I know.
It just didn't work.
I know, and my psychiatrist thinks that the screening process for the people who are in the study wasn't necessarily rigorous enough. So he was mad about that because he believes so much in this science.
Yep.
And so they're doing the double-blind study right now.
Yep.
So they've begun the second phase, and then they need money for the final phase of it to get it approved so that people can get insurance for this.
So how many people now have done it?
So
there's 10
of us have done it. I believe another person is enrolled, and there will be 20 to 22 people in the next phase.
That's not a lot of people.
That's not a lot of people, I know. But so I just want to say this. I wrote a blog. I've been publishing online for 18 years. I could have written a blog post about this. I could have contacted Elle magazine or whatever and said I want to write a magazine article. I didn't think that was enough to give this team of people enough credit for what they did for me. They changed my life, and they gave my kids back their mother. They needed a book that they could hand to people and say, this is what we're doing. This is the study. This is what we're trying to accomplish.
And this is the book.
This is the book.
That's right.
And so I wrote the book to bring attention to what they're trying to accomplish in Utah. This is the only place in the world it's going on. And it is revolutionary in terms of how it could help those who are depressed.
Cute daughters.
I do have cute daughters.
You do. This lady, this movie Still Alice was a big deal in our house because Anna's dad had Alzheimer's, so it was a big deal. So Lisa Geneva, who wrote that book, she gives you a nice little quote here. She says, "Breathtakingly honest, this story is a bridge to empathy and a bright beacon of hope. I'm telling everyone to read this book." Those are strong. Those are strong.
I know.
Strong words.
I know.
Wow. So, and now you're traveling around
I'm traveling around.
Don't get too tired. I don't want you
in person.
Yeah, you're finally meeting your son. Finally meeting your son.
Finally meeting my son for the first time.
Yeah. I told you I don't read books, but I'm gonna read this book.
You gonna read this book? Oh, yeah.
I will.
You don't read books. That's so
I will.
funny.
And it's about the whole journey, the whole
journey. Well, actually, this is a story about family.
Well, I'm glad we're, I mean, that's,
that more than anything, it's a story about family and connection and being there for the people you love.
Yeah.
Really. That's what it's about.
And I'm not to bury the lead here, but no symptoms, since you finished, actually since treatment 5,
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm really good, actually.
Do you walk around the living room anymore?
I don't.
That might be the one thing when you start walking, say, "Oh shit, homegirl's walking around the living room again." We may want to go back and get a couple more anesthesias.
Homegirl. Yeah, you just go to 60. I took it off. Took the Fitbit off, and I take my medication regularly. That was emphasized. You have to take your medication.
So that's part of his protocol, the treatment, and then sort of follow up.
And then, like, you have to take your medication. Don't
Forever.
go off of it. Yeah. Or if it needs to be modified, we can modify it.
Yeah.
And then, like, noticing triggers. Noticing, like, okay, well, doing this thing, like, triggers me, so I should probably ask for help in that department. Noticing when I have to ask for help, and asking for help from me is my biggest weakness. Just noticing triggers and avoiding them. And I have a wonderful partner in my life who has transformed it as well. So, yeah.
Pete, who's in the room. Nobody can see, but you guys rolled up. You look so pretty, and he's wearing practically wearing a tuxedo. I was I just like stumbled over here from the house. I'm like, wait, well, what's happening here? This is not.
Well, you're Lance Armstrong. You're supposed to roll like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But. All right, cool. Yeah. I love it. Heather, so good to meet you.
Yeah, so good to meet you too.
And to everybody, I'm telling you, just check this. Like, full disclosure, like, I can't relate to this, and I'm not trying to minimize it. It's just, it's never been a part of my life. I've never been a part of my family's life.
One day you're going to meet somebody who's depressed.
Yeah, well, no, I just did. Well, not anymore. not anymore. Not anymore, but...
it's a great book for understanding it.
I think...
I didn't understand depression until I read this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm gonna read it. The fact that I'm gonna read a book is the regular listener will tell you, like, that's unheard of. But good luck.
It's a book your mom wrote, so you should read it.
You know, my actual mom should read it. By the way, that's weird that I'm 4 years older than you and you think you're my mother. We got to stop that.
This is a joke that I make on Twitter.
We have to stop saying that. That's because people think I'm weird enough.
And your mom listens.
And my mom listens.
Oh, she does. Hi. I didn't mean to take your place.
She gets mad.
I didn't mean to take your place.
My mother gets really mad when I say the F-bomb. So, you know, it's always good to have a shit-ass hoe motherfucker on the show. I mean,
It was lovely to be a shit-ass hoe motherfucker on your show.
All right, girl. Good luck.
Thank you.